on The Fact Today, only on ATN.
It's a beautiful day, and we are glad to welcome you to Atlantic Television Network. Apologies for starting behind time, but we are here now, and it's time to bring you the Blowout shows for today. Remember that Atlantic Television Network Blowout is a syndicated live program of the network, and our job here is simple. We bring you conversation on special interest topics. We do this through news, events, and stories, and our correspondent reports, expert opinions, and stakeholders analysis. On the show today, we'll take off with Anchor's charts. Persons with disabilities lament over discrimination. On Peace Park, Tinubu restored independence to Rivers State Assembly. That's coming from the FCT Minister Wiki. And in Rivers State, a thought to disrupt Fubara Supreme Court victory rally. And in Judiciary, court denies suspect in Rivers State Assembly as on bail. In Oyo State, government tasked LGA chairman traditional stools on safety. An FCT Civil Service Commission to begin soon. This is coming from Wiki. On insecurity, APC chieftain calls for decentralization of policing. And on economy, companies exit over refusal to domesticate their production. That's coming from the federal government. Our guest on the show today is Barrister Paul Arochukwu. He is joining us as a public affairs analyst and a civil society advocate. You know you can join us live from wherever you are in the world. All you need to do is log on to our virtual platforms, atlanticnetwork.tv, that's our website, and you can also join us live by logging on to our app. If you don't have that already, feel free to download that from the App Store. We are ATN Live. And do well to also join us live on Facebook and YouTube. We are Atlantic Television Network. And we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you Anchor's chat. Stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on The Fact Today, only on ATN. Good to have you back on Atlantic Blowout, and it's time for Anchor's chat.
So the Joint National Association of Persons with Disabilities Southern Niger Local Government Area Chapter, Bayelsa State, has bemoaned the underrepresentation and neglect by leaders of the area and government at all levels. They stated this when a delegation of Jonapwad in the area, led by its President Salvation Enoch, visited Alago Morris, head of the Environmental Rights Action Niger Delta Resource Center in Yenagoa, the state's capital, on Monday. Enoch lamented that they had been denied access to their representatives in government, particularly the executive and legislative arms, where they had hoped to be given an audience to express themselves and state their challenges. Enoch said they had written several letters to various leaders and representatives, but discovered that their letters were not usually delivered to them. While responding, Lago Morris, a former environmental and community rights activist, called on the Bayelsa State Governor Doyediri and relevant government authorities to pay special attention to the physically challenged persons. He urged the governor to extend his administration's welfare scheme for the elderly persons with disabilities as well, so that they could also receive monthly stipends and have a sense of belonging in the state. I'd like to quickly point out to this call by saying that I totally agree with Enoch and the position of Maurice Alago, the famous environmentalist. And the reason is simple. When you sit back and ask yourself, does anyone really consciously choose to be disabled? You know, the likely chance that anyone consciously wants to be born disabled or be disabled after birth or by any chance, it's not there. These things happen. Like we say, life happens to everyone who has life on earth today. And when life happens to you, could be in a similar form or similitude of what we're talking about today, that you were born physically challenged, or you were born with some form of physical impediment, that is, or you happen to have life happen to you along the line, and then either by accident or any form of action or by nature, if you may, you end up being physically challenged or impaired, if you may. Now, that should not deny you the right of having a proper life, having a right representation, having a voice to speak up for yourself, especially on issues that concerns you. And a critical part of that conversation is the conversation about the rights of people living with disabilities. And the Southern Niger, an arm of them in Bayelsa State is coming out to say we are not being listened to, we are being neglected. We don't even have access to legislature. We don't have access to our representative. We have written several letters. They don't seem to listen to us. I remember during the just concluded by elections that INEC kept saying, oh, we are going to make sure that proper attention is paid to people living with disability. And I said, why are you having this conversation now? These people are an essential part of our existence. I remember that a few years ago during production of one environment show, I even had to, as an independent person, I had to bring in a sign language person that could communicate with those who can see but cannot hear. But it shouldn't even go, it should go beyond that. It should go as far as having the government, for instance, you know, inculcating them as part and parcel of conversations. Those who can hear, that cannot see, can listen to what you're saying. Those who cannot hear but can see can be communicated through sign language. I believe that it is time for the government to begin to incorporate this in every government functions. Schools even, national events, state events, council events. Let's know that these people are part and parcel of our community. And the sense of it being neglected is not something anyone really would like to deal with. Look, for what is what, persons with disabilities are lamenting over discrimination. This cuts across goes beyond Bayelsa State. It goes across all other states. I remember in 2015, during 2015 elections, the APC made concerted effort to ensure that the speech impaired persons, the part of the group of persons with disability, were incorporated into the APC campaign election in 2015. Funds were released, They were brought to buses, were released for them to come for meetings, stakeholders meetings. They were fully incorporated into the database of the APC from different local governments, as a matter of fact. That is because someone had the initiative to reach out to say there is a chunk number of these persons that can make or mar the elections for the candidate of choice at the time. But it shouldn't just be about elections. There has to be a day dedicated to pay attention to these people. Beyond the International Day for Persons Living with Disabilities or the week where they are commemorated, we need to pay closer attention. If you go to this motherless babies' homes, for instance, you discover that the people with physical disabilities are kept away from the other children. At one time, I was in one of the homes in Port Harcourt, and something led to the other. We were taken to see. It was such a debasing sight that these children were just left there on, maybe not on their own, but not amongst other people. And probably because the home was not in position to cater for all of them. So there are people who actually provide services for them. There are sign language persons who are without jobs today. Meanwhile, there should be a job provided for them. So I know that the government could say they're overwhelmed in terms of how much they have to pay for these services. But at the same time, I believe that if we are going to tell ourselves the truth, then we need to begin to think of creating spaces for them to be part and parcel of our society. And how we're going to do that is simple. We can only do that when we choose to incorporate them as part of the system. How do you incorporate them as part of the system? It's simple. Ensure that structures are designed with them in mind. Ensure that structures that do not have access to for these persons are provided a form of technological access point or structure. It means for them to access your buildings when they need services in these places where there is no lift, for instance. Ensure that there are persons who can actually attend to them. Ensure that they are given a job in an organization. Some of these blind persons I've come across have one of the fantastic voices you can ever hear. A media organization can decide to say, okay, we are giving this person opportunity to be a voice of our artists. And who say that some of them cannot be radio presenters, for instance? It could shock you that they could do one of the fantastic shows you've ever come across. Who says that you can't have them do things like that? If someone can talk, that's an ability. And it's also important for us, again, pointedly, to stop looking at these people with just people with physical abilities, but living with there are people living with disabilities. Doesn't mean that every function in their body are disabled. Not really. In most of the cases, not really. So if we can find a way around it and begin to ask ourselves, how can we incorporate these people into our system? Like I said, media organizations can begin to think about how to incorporate them. Some of them can be fantastic speech writers, script writers, if you can teach them what to do. In government, there are several services that they can provide. Some of them can do super research. You see these people who can't talk, they have a lot of depth in their minds. If given the opportunity, a lot of them are educated enough to do research for you, bring out stories and write stories for you in a media organization. Even if you don't want to put them as a full staff, they can come in as consultants or work from home. Just give them what to do, provide them with the system to do it and the access to internet. They could just shock you. So we need to stop looking at people living with disability as deformed persons and begin to look at them as people who are a part and parcel of our everyday society and begin to think of how we can incorporate them in our everyday life. And that's been Anchor's Chat. To come back to you right after the break.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable
You're a human
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Welcome back to Atlantic Blowout, everyone. I'd like to quickly welcome Barrister Arochukwu, Paul Obona Arochukwu. Good morning and welcome to Atlantic Blowout.
Thank you and God bless you. Good morning, Nigerians.
All right, everyone, let's go. We'll take it from Rivers State. The former governor of Rivers State and present minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Chief Nyesom Wike, had said President Bola Tinubu's intervention has given independence to the executive, legislature, and judiciary in Rivers State. The minister, who addressed journalists in Abuja on Monday, said the executive, legislature, and the judiciary are all functioning independently, and all thanks to the president. Now, you will recall that the states had experienced major political face-off between Wike and Fubara over the leadership of the state, and this had led to the burning of the state's legislative chambers. 3 months ago by some lawmakers believed to be Fubara's loyalists. 9 commissioners had resigned and lawmakers loyal to Wike had defected to the All Progressive Congress. But President Tinubu had intervened in the rift and compelled them to sign a peace pact. However, President Tinubu's peace pact implemented by Governor Fubara had seemed to have checked some of the issues. So the FCT minister says, according to him, that Tinubu has restored independence, the Rivers State Assembly, the executive and the judiciary. Care to buttress more what do you think he may be referring to here?
Wike is a lawyer of more than 25 years. A person who is up to 25 years in the bar can be appointed a High Court judge, Court of Appeal judge, and even to the Supreme Court. The person as well is qualified to be an SLN. It's Wike as a lawyer telling me, and as a politician he claims to be, and a professional one at that the president of the country is the one who gave independence to the arms of government. Elementary government we learned in secondary school told us that they are theoretically independent but interrelated in the operations and functions. That none, related to the extent that none can function in extreme independence of not requiring the other. That's why the legislature makes a law, the executive signs the bill into law, the judiciary interprets the same law. So the issue of the independence of the 3 arms of government, be it at the federal or the local or the state level, or at any other level, or in any other structure, in any other presidential democracy of our character and type, modeled after the American own, the arms of government are independent by virtue of constitutional provisions. And the president cannot, by any fiat or any proclamation or mere statement, give them independence. And when you say restored it, was the independence of the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature in Rivers State taken away by any time? People drive psychophants to the point they contradict themselves and begin to undermine themselves and belittle themselves before public. Somebody who ordinarily should have enormous integrity, you begin to play dirty and in the mud and begin to talk like somebody who is not coordinated. He was just the immediate past governor of the state. Is he saying that as the governor he was not independent as an executive, leader of the executive? Is he saying that the Speaker of the then House of Assembly was subordinated to him, or that judiciary took it directive from him to interpret the laws of Rivers State? These things were there. So what is he saying?
Here is a very critical part of this conversation that is also quite disturbing. You just said that, legally speaking, the legislature, executive, and the judiciary are independent arms of government.
Constitutionally provided.
Yeah, work intercollectively.
Yes.
However, if a lawyer over 25 years,
more than 25
years, when a former minister
and a former governor,
a governor for 8 years, comes out to say that the president of the country, who is under constitutional oath to work by the rules, laws of the land, has restored the independence of the state assembly and the executive arm of government. Can we now refer back to the rumors that Wike was interfering with Tinubu, with Fubara's government, trying to determine what to call the shots? Can we not refer to the rumor mill that referred to some of the issues they had, saying that, oh, yes, Wike, he has even said it, that he bought the forms for all his political aides at the time, including those in the Assembly and the National Assembly. Can we not refer to that to say that, could it be that Wike actually was the one who took over the power, the independence of these institutions, the judiciary, those he appointed, the executive arm, which is the governor, he's a boy, and that's then, and of course the legislature, who is said to be at par with him in the crisis that Rivers State saw of recent. So can we now say that Wike actually domiciled the powers that this institution had until Tinubu's peace pact?
Of course, that is exactly what he's implying. He's implying that in the Fubara administration. He was even implying that in his own administration, because he was the immediate past governor of the state. So there is no doubt that somebody was undermining the functions of the arms of government and practically calling the shots. So when you say they restored, it means it was taken away, and who did? And again, very importantly, is this kind of command that ridiculous before the international community. When Europeans and North Americans hear our leading politicians talk like this, they will just go and call us monkeys and highly, highly unserious people. Because they call us unserious people. I wouldn't know why a man of wicked standing should be ascribed with such a statement. I refuse to understand that. Can't we pretend for a little? We are so bizarre and careless in our utterances and behavior. In fact, one of the beauties of government is that certain things are done behind doors. But we strip ourselves so naked in the street, we don't even bloody care. And make it very important matters of state to become a roadside discussion. It is ridiculous, to say the least.
But the concern again is that when a man makes such statement like the one he just looked, which connotes inadvertently that he actually hijacked the powers or the independence of these legislative arms of government until the President's Peace Pact. But notwithstanding, if you look at that also critically and then you ask yourself, this is not the first time Wike has made a quite loquacious statements in the public. When you say as a sitting governor you purchase forms for all of them, when you say as a sitting governor, you make statements that is untoward, that shouldn't come from you. None of the institutions of government till today have been able to ask the Minister of FCT, how were you able to afford the money for the forms? When you make statements like we have fulfilled our part of the peace deal, when he was at with the paramount ruler of Ogbaland, when he makes such statements, which inadvertently means that he was actually with the Amiwile-led assembly on the actions that they carried out in Rivers State. So when you look at situations like that and ask yourself, why is it that this man hasn't been called to question? Boma Goodhead was here some time ago and made all kinds of allegations and dared him to deny those allegations, including that of the death of SP Anbashim. Today, nobody has bothered to call the FCT minister to say, is this true, or question any of that. So why would a Wike realize that he shouldn't be making such statements or saying whatever he wants to say?
Because your state institutions are weak. Your state institutions, the security institutions, and your entire institutions are very weak.
Weak if by virtue of the human operators, or weak by virtue of lack of laws governing these institutions?
Not necessarily laws, weak by virtue of human operations and human influence. You know, the state in Africa is interventionist in character, and so are state institutions. And therefore, the state in Africa does not actually respond to any situation except by the mechanism of intervention. And these interventions are temporary. Now, you can see that practically all the governors and all the big wigs convicted by the EFCC in this country were people who fell out of favor with their party, were people who fell out of favor with powerful men in the society, were people who had powerful enemies in the society. And you see how they were being dragged around by common criminals. You and I are Nigerians, and we knew there are many petitions lying in EFCC against former heads of state, former governors, former senators, and all kinds of characters. All those cases are incorrect. They are there lying forever. That is just one aspect of the weakness of the state. So in Africa, you can do whatever you want to do. Once you have acquired some form of political clout or strength, nobody cares bother you. And by the way, in a society where the state is privatized and hijacked by powerful individuals at the detriment of the citizens, and the resources of the state is being treated as the resources of those individuals. So some of them have enough resources to weaken, further weaken state institutions and compromise them by patronizing them. So that is the situation. And in a society where poverty is endemic, it is easy to get at what you want once you have a few dollars. Very simple and very easy. A society bedridden in poverty, a society bedridden in ignorance, and where few men have captured the state, we call it state capture. There is nothing anybody who have acquired some level of influence and power will not do. In fact, the statement made by Wike is sufficient enough for his party not to have won election in this country again, or for him not to be associated with by any group, by any person or group of politicians whatsoever.
So it's safe to say that the major Achilles heel in Nigeria today is poverty.
Poverty, which has poverty of the masses, poverty of knowledge, poverty of material things, survival, and that the state institutions are weak. I can say in the often time, there are police cannot arrest except when they become vulnerable by virtue of the fact that they lost out or they ran into crisis with their class. I have said it severally. There is a politician, I have written over 100 petitions against him. Police will tell me they didn't see him. One time I went to them and told them, look at him, look at where he is. Come, let me point at him. The policeman looked at me and moved away. So there is not one person. They can't do nothing. They cannot do nothing, except when those people run into a major scandal among colleagues, try to commit a class suicide, or try to threaten their class by their conduct or behavior. Okay? Or they want to use that person and set an example among them to give the impression, you know, that they disassociate themselves with certain conducts. That is when you see security agents, like, for instance, they're running around Isaac. You know what happened in the case of Isaac? Yeah. Okay. Because you have lost favor among members of your class. It's a class war. And that is why I have advocated that the only way to save Nigeria is not by the treatment of IMF and World Bank or by the so-called reforms of the ruling class. No. Their reforms since 1999 has not worked. And they have always reformed it in such a way they reform themselves to the center of our resources and comfort and political continuity. They can come under any nomenclature. They are one and the same family. For those of us down here who are the majority, used to pick sticks, stones, pebbles on the streets, pack sands, throw at them and chase them away. And elect for ourselves a leadership that we are going to mount surveillance for them to carry out the results that will benefit us. That is why part of the opening statement of the American Constitution say that we hold this truth to be self-evident that all men were created equal, that imbued in them is the right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that men should set up for themselves a government, and at any time that government can no longer represent their interests, that the person has the right, the people have the right to drive away that government. The same is applicable in our traditional institutions. If we have a deity, even among our deities, our gods, the Bible say that if a particular god begins to misbehave, they will tell you the wood with which they carved it. So even among the Igbos, even in many other Africans, when a deity begins to misrepresent the people, they will pack the entire deity and throw it into the river or dispose of it and bring upon themselves a new deity. That if a particular chief or king among us begin to move, we use stone, we use sticks and chase the chief and then left for ourselves a chief. That is what happened in France, it happened in the US, it happened in Britain, and any part of the world. It happened in Russia. In fact, the popular Russian Revolution is from where the current success they have made started. It happened in China, the Mao Zedong. So, as far as the Nigerian people fold their hands, telling you they will die, definitely it's either we die in group or we die individually.
All right. We're still in Rivers State. Reports say a rally to celebrate the Supreme Court victory of Governor Stephen Layefu of Rivers State in the West local government area witnessed a near crisis situation as some youth were alleged to have acted on the order of the council chairman, vandalized canopies and chairs at the initial venue set for the rally. ATN learns that the program was moved to another location where the council chairman later appeared to clear the air on the allegation, while the rally was held successfully thereafter. Now, despite the attempt by the thugs to disrupt the program by vandalizing canopies and chairs at an initial venue, event attendance was impressive, with past and 7 lawmakers and commissioners and the representative of the governor also attending. The leader of the governor's supporters in Ahoda West and one of the 4 assembly members loyal to him, Sokari Goodboy, urged the presidency and the police high command to take note of the provocative action. Also, Governor Fubara's representative, the former chief whip of the state House of Assembly, Evans VP, advised the crowd not to be intimidated by rumors that they are to be suspended from the PDP, among other threats. The supporters also received defectors from opposition party into the People's Democratic Party to back Governor Fubara. Well, why the FCT minister some time ago at Oberland, like I said that they have fulfilled their part of the peace pact, that is him and the Amewule-led assembly, and then that they have, that President Tinubu have restored independence of the legislature and all of that. There are still pockets and skirmishes around that seem to be a telltale of what may be at hand or what may not have been done in the name of peace. Having disrupted the process of this victory rally, Supreme Court victory rally held in Ahoda for Governor Fubara, and the council chairman coming out to say, no, I am not part of those people, I didn't send them. Is this not the typical image or picture we have in Rivers State, where thugs go to carry out an act, somebody comes to say that wasn't me and all of that. Can there ever be a time where we can clearly say that there is peace in Rivers State and we cannot have elements of the state being used against members of the state?
It flows from our earlier discussion, which I said the institutions are weak. The police ought to have protected the rally. What was the immediate action and reaction? Number two, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, if we still have a constitution in this country, guarantees freedom of association and freedom of assembly. So what is wrong in the people assembling in the Nigerian soil at a plate of convenience for them for whatever process they want to carry out, if that process is not illegal? And it is not. They say they want to celebrate whatever victory God has given to them. No problem, go ahead. How does that disrupt somebody that people go? And again, what gave somebody the guts to go to where they are holding a rally of that nature to disrupt it? Because the person must have been assured nothing will happen to you. It was in this same country that a man arrested the state governor, actually took him and locked him up in an uncompleted building, disrupted the executive and the government of the state. He took the state governor, calling a sitting vice president then to ask him, is there a coup in the country? Because look at where I'm being held. What happened to that man? So this is the way we have structured that.
To former Governor Rotimi Amechi.
No. The case of Ngige in Anambra State.
Okay.
So this is the way we run. This is the way we run our country. That individuals equate the interest of the state to be their interest.
Okay.
And when they are not, and when they do not get that interest, they go to any extreme to achieve it, because they know nothing will happen. And the consequence of this kind of attitude and mindset and behavior is that at all levels of government, people behave contrary to the law. And they will tell you nothing, and they can easily cite example, what happened to the other person. And they begin to see that the punishment, any effort to punish them for the infraction of the law, is vindictiveness. It's witch hunting. Because there are some other people who have done worse and who are moving the streets. The reason why when somebody kills another, we make effort to hang him, is to teach others that you don't behave like this. And that if you do it, this is what is going to be your punishment. The same thing is applicable to a man who stole. The same thing is applicable to the man who misappropriated state funds. There must be consequences for action.
Now, the lack of
particularly legal actions. When there are no consequences, definitely I guarantee you it will continue to repeat itself. It is happening in Rivers State because it first happened in Anambra.
Yeah.
It happened in Rivers State before. It has happened in different parts of the country.
Some time ago when Rotimi Amechi also went to Ekiti for elections and all of that.
Exactly.
Some time ago while he was still here, the police was used to deny him access into the government house, and several other lack of consequence management in our system today. And a lot of people have said that the lack of consequence management is what has birthed the level of audaciousness in acts of impunity in this country. How much of this do you think is the responsibility of the institutions that ought to be implementing the law?
The institutions are not, look, the primary, the state institutions here in Africa or Nigeria merely exist to protect the nucleus interests of those in power at any point in time. They do not see themselves as the people's institution capable of protecting the people's interests, which is the larger interest. Because you see, in Africa, the government, there is this thinking or philosophy that government is superior to the people. Why? Because the government was created artificially by foreign forces, the British colonialists, and then was handed over to the direct representatives of those British colonialists. Most of them having been trained in British, Europe, and North America, who came to sustain the interest of the retreating colonial masters. And over time, a successive generation of leaders have keyed into that principle and that ideology. If not, if it is the Nigerian police, why should it kill a Nigerian citizen along the streets?
So can I ask you a quick question just before we wrap up on this and get into the last story from Rivers State issues?
Yes.
The idea that the slavery seemingly had stopped, because you've been trying to create a disparity between the elites,
yes,
the ruling class and the people.
Yes.
The disparity between the led and those at the bottom of the string, if you may, and the idea that though slavery seemed to have been abolished theoretically, but the mindset of slavery was also sold to Africans who worked to the colonial masters,
exactly,
which they imbibed, and to say the same thing, the way the whites, the Europeans saw themselves at the top and the Afro-black man beneath, then that is the same mentality, the spirit behind the act of our leaders today, where they see you, they are the supreme, you are at the bottom of the string. If this analogy that a lot of people have projected as a reason why we cannot have a meeting point today, why our leaders get there, they don't think for themselves, they don't think for the masses but themselves. If this is the issue that we have, how do you think we can begin to narrow it down? Because at the end of the day, like in the case of Rivers State, somebody was made to believe that you can disrupt the rally. And that is somebody from the top who can afford to pay the thugs, without which the thugs would not be willing to go do that. Now, how do we begin to merge this space, this unending space or distance between the led and the led, between the leaders and the led?
I have told you before. You see, we have tried coup d'etats in Africa. It didn't save us.
Yep.
Western democracy, as propelled by Europe and North America and championed by World Bank, is what we are toiling with. You can see it has not saved us. And I have asked the question, who says that democracy is the only form of socio-political organization of human societies?
A lot of people have questioned this
because
as well.
Through human societies, humans have one form of social, since the emergence of society, men have had different forms of social organization. So who said it? And if it's democracy, must it be Western democracy structured after the West? Must it be? Then it could be. After all, Africa was democratic. In fact, I was discovered through my interaction and discussion and studies with some people that the George societies were the most perfectly democratic societies you found on earth. So what I have said before is my own solution. That look, listen, the onus is upon every group of people at any point in time to discover themselves, make it or mar it. A popular activist said it. It is for the living people, it is for us living in this space, the Rivers people, to get up and say enough is enough. Stop it. We don't want this. It is for the people to begin to place a demands on the ruling class. I guarantee you that when the people, the onus is on the people. The people can afford to sleep off their life. That's entirely the business. But nobody is going to save the oppressed. No, the only person that can save an oppressed man is him, not the oppressor. And it is the oppressed who raise the banner of salvation, who raise an alarm to cry for liberation. It is not the oppressor. Sometimes the oppressor is not only enjoying what he's doing, he doesn't even believe he's oppressing. He believes in doing you a favor. And that is
that's a mindset.
Yes, he's doing you a favor. And that is why you can see them make some outrageous and obnoxious demands very confidently, believing that they are entitled to it. Somebody has not come to realize that the funds I'm talking about is community funds. They are not treating
that it is his money. He has a part in that money.
Yes, you don't realize that the Rivers man fishing now in the riverine community, in a remote corner of Rivers State, that the one walking to the farm today in Emoha, that the one in a chair planting in his cassava farm, that the one even in the street of Sokoto fixing tires, that every penny that enters the coffers belongs to each of them, that they own it. So a man begins to see himself from any part of the country with a sense of superiority. It is we. And that is why somebody can afford to share security vote of $2.something billion among and within themselves. And they shared it across ethnic lines. There was no case of Igbo people being oppressed. There was no case of Yoruba people being insulted. There was no case of Hausa, these Fulani people are terrorists. Nobody complained. They shared it and went quiet. Until we started hearing it. Even until today, they didn't quarrel among themselves. They didn't quarrel. But once it comes to the common people to rally, to vent their anger and to create for themselves, to begin to see this is the Fulanis. So it is the only use is on the common people to rise up, challenge their leadership, and create a society after their own self-image.
Now, speaking of the need for a consciousness campaign, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja is set to have dismissed some bail applications, and then we'll have that conversation right after the break.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring honest pop news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought a very family.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing. You human trafficker.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
from the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Everyone, let's run along with this right now. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja had dismissed the bail application filed by some persons alleged to be loyalists of River State Governor Simbaya Fubara, who were accused of killing and terrorism. The defendants are Chime Agume, Eze Balike, Prince Lukman, Oladile Kenneth, Goodluck Basa, Osiga Donald, and Ochieja. Thank God. Police had instituted terrorism-related charges against them following their alleged role in the bombing of River State House of Assembly in October 2023. They were also accused of killing some police officers. Now, you recall that on October 30, 2023, an explosion had rocked the River State House of Assembly complex The incident came amid alleged moves by some lawmakers to impeach Fubara. It was also gathered that some suspected arsonists threw an explosive into the complex around 9:25 p.m., causing a fire in the building. The first to the third defendant applied for bail, citing health conditions. Ruling on the application on Monday in Abuja, Justice Balaji Olajuwon rejected their applications. According to Justice Olajuwon, the defendants were charged with a capital offense which bordered on terrorism and alleged murder. Justice Olajuwon also said there was no evidence to the fact that the facilities at the correctional center cannot meet the health needs of the defendant. She then added that the evidence before the court showed that experts at the health center were capable and well equipped to manage the condition of the defendants. She subsequently adjourned the case till February 8, 2024 for hearing. All right, I don't have a problem with the judge saying that she is not going to give them a bail, but let me start this conversation quickly by touching on some critical aspects of this. Why do you have media organizations saying these people are loyalists of Nosimlaye Fubara, Edison, and all of that? Till date, we have not seen the charge sheets. We don't know if there are conversations in their phones that show that none of that is in the public domain, basically, that show that they are loyalists of Governor Similaye. No evidence of that is in the public domain. But we have a lot of media organizations saying loyalists of the... I looked at those names. Some of them are popular names. Yeah. No, their faces are not even out there that you say, okay, there are pictures of this person with the governor or an aide to the governor where he was an accountant or Edison and all of that. Why do you think, I mean, I'm a practitioner, I'm sitting on the live TV anyway. Why do you think practitioners are quickly guided by this sensationalism of media stories without even leaving the actual facts out of the story?
Well, you see, in a society undermined by corruption, bedridden in corruption, every facet of that society, no facet of that society is exempted. And that is why when people come harassing or embarrassing some of us, telling us judges are corrupt, I tell them, look, listen, is the Ministry of Works, Agriculture, Education and Health doing far better than the Ministry of Justice? So why are you singling out a specific number of people just to harass them? Is it because, it's just like what we say about the police? Yes, police is corrupt, because police are on the road. The people in their conditions, facilities, in state houses and in government facilities across the country do worse than what the police does now. And we know that, it's a fact. Just because we wake up to see the police, we go to bed seeing them too. So there is no doubt that some parts of the media are compromised, or that they come reporting, saying issue for the sensation of it, possibly to attract attention and to make their media houses popular. If not, attaching those names to Fubara, to me, doesn't make sense, except the police have concluded their report, then brought a police report and say, look, these people are loyalists of Fubara, which it will even be difficult for the police to do, assuming without considering the police does so. Then you can begin to report in that direction. But if the police have not done so, you cannot say that a man who went to burn the House of Assembly, which the governor even went to rescue, that these people are loyalists of Fubara. So I think it's an attempt to tarnish the governor's image. And the logic is very straight and very clear as far as I'm concerned. It is wrong reporting. You can name them if they are suspects. Remain, you are reporting that they are suspects of this. After all, that is the law. That he remains a suspect until he is convicted.
And so they're still going through prosecution.
And that's still going through prosecution. So don't add value to it. These people are suspected to have burnt down the River State House of Assembly. Leave it at that. Then let them go through the trial, and let's see what the court will say. Let us not preempt the court. That the court have denied them bail now is not the end of the road. They have the right to go to approach the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court on the same subject matter of bail.
Now, these people who are alleged to have bombed the State Assembly, we are now hearing that they are also involved, they're being charged for terrorism. We are also hearing that they were part of those who also murdered SP, Ang Bashim, the SP of Ahoda, who was murdered by some element that the police had mentioned some months ago. I'm trying to figure out, if you can help us here, how are these persons, the same names that were accused earlier I remember that one of them is AKA Baba. One, I think, David Okbala, who was involved, the kingpin in the murder of SP Ann Bashim. How is the police or the investigators now coming to have this guy's name? The assembly issue happened around October, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
How are you now merging it with the death of Ann Bashim that happened sometime in September or thereabout? And these two issues are not related whatsoever. Are you now saying that the governor, Simlaye Fubara, Ehi Edison, who is also being named in this drama that is unfolding right now, that they both are involved in the murder of SP Ann Bashim? That's not one side. Remember that I referred again to Boma Goodhead, who also indicted the SPT minister to be part and parcel of the murder of SP Ann Bashim, which is yet to be investigated, which we are yet to hear the IGP, because the Boma and the FCT minister are both in Abuja. Boma is a serving rep member. They are yet to be questioned. We're yet to hear anything from the police on this particular accusation. Help us see if you can make sense. But this has been going on for some time. How do you think these two entities would have been related?
Well, the truth of the matter is this. The advice I give to the judges and the judiciary, the same I extend to the police. I have said it in several forums that the judges, the judiciary should resist the politicians. They already call them. They should resist them. And the same advice to the police. You see, the police should be making conscious effort to redeem its own image and should sometimes call itself to order. Because what the politicians do is to force things down your throat and get you to give your stamp of approval on nonsense. The issue is very clear. The DSP was murdered and the news went viral.
And the police gave us names of those involved. And none of them are listed in the names we have.
After a time, the people even did a video and was a sort of taunting the police, if you can't catch us. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I understand the workings of the police and state institutions.
Okay.
Anything that is of particular interest to the government in Africa, they get it solved. There's no impossibility with any state institution once the government or the people in power is interested in it. The video the young people did was sufficient for you to get them. That video, I'm sure, was done on Earth at a particular location in this Earth surface. There is technology to identify at least where that video was done and to follow the track of that video because it was done with an electronic device.
Yes.
So all that, I wouldn't know why somebody didn't follow it up. And even if we don't have the technology, we can buy the technology for the sake of for the sake of that crime and the nature and character of that crime. We could have bought the technology to enable us to track it. I don't think that was done. Now a political issue comes up some months later, and then you say that these people who did this one were the ones who did the other one.
Interesting. Not just to cut you short, please, Barrister Arachukwu. Remember also that you had already detained about 50-something person, including a traditional ruler, over the death of SP Ann Bashim. These people, are you saying that you released some of them that not came back to burn the State Assembly sometime in October? Is that what the police or the investigators are telling us? Or how did these people, where are the people, of about 50 of them who have been in detention over SP Ann Bashim's murder? How are you now saying that these people who burned their... Look.
So the truth is that somebody trying to hide something. I consider the death of SP Ann Bashim as a major crime.
Okay.
To hide it or to make nonsense of the process of investigation and coming out with the truth, with the crisis in the River State House of Assembly and the burning down, which I think is a lesser crime, to the extent that buildings and properties were destroyed here, human life was more, and the life of a citizen police officer. So that is it. So I don't think the police understands what they are doing, because all these things revolve around the police. It's the responsibility of the police to fight crime, to prevent them, and to capture those who commit crimes, and to ensure justice is done or they are punished adequately. So I think the issue of Ann Bashim should have been treated in its own character by arresting or concluding issues on the killing of the police officer and the people, and the issue of House of Assembly should be treated differently. Adding the two of them together, and you see, when you read the news, you find out that this is just the work of politicians who are authors and professional confucianists.
So why is the media falling for it? Why is the police being used for this? Why is the judiciary being used for this?
Because the case of the judiciary is that the politicians act like children who go and cause problems outside and bring it for their parents. You send a young man to school. He goes there to break somebody's leg and runs into the house. The parents of the person come to start quarreling while he's hiding somewhere in the room. That's what the politician does. When they do their mess, they heap it on the judiciary. And that is why I say the judiciary should do well to resist them before they completely tear it into pieces. As for the media, I have told you here that, that in a society that is bedridden in corruption, in the potpourri of corruption, that no aspect of that society, no institution is exempted. So, of course, certain media people could be compromised to sell this narrative. And you know the Nigerian mind. Whoever talks for whatever you say in Nigeria and sustain that line of discussion, the people fall for it. And again, investigative journalism doesn't operate here. Everybody is fighting here to survive for the next day. And that is why Nigerians will tell you Happy New Day, Happy New Week, Happy New Month, because they are surprised that you have survived the week. Surviving the week here is a huge success. It's a huge victory. So at the end of the week, you walk out on Sunday or Monday morning, people are telling you Happy New Week. That is, they are expecting you to have died. Unfortunately, you are still alive. So, okay. So to compromise the journalists, nobody has the time as a journalist here to go and do underground investigation. And even when you do it, there is a lot of hazards here. What protection do you even have as a journalist? Yeah. You have absolutely no.
What ensures you as a journalist?
Exactly. That is why when they brought the issue of a particular pastor in Lagos, BBC published, and people were talking, I said, look, listen, if you people push the BBC and they release further information about your leaders and your church leaders, about your secular and church leaders, all of us will pack and run. Number one, why can't you people do a counter documentary to challenge the BBC? You can't do it because you don't have the resources, you don't have the technology, you don't have the training. You don't have anything to rival the BBC. The BBC is a state institution. Is the official spokesperson of the British establishment, not even government, the British establishment. And therefore they have got all the historical facts, they have got all the resources, they have got all the training, they can intimidate, harass you, they can even lie against you if they care. Can you mobilize yourself and face them in a duel, in a face-to-face distance? You don't have the money to go and pay people and get professional information, keep it in for years, edit it at your comfort, release it at the time you want, at the specific time, get the public interest diverted, get them make reactions you want, gather more information and return back to base to release further. And that they do have it. So even as a journalist, you have no protection. Then as for the police, of course, I have told you how all of us, only, look, the worst, the most either hated or misunderstood state institution is the police. An average Nigerian doesn't have confidence in the police. Irrespective of the fact that the police take a lot of risk, I must agree, irrespective of the fact that there are no people that has more hazardous jobs in this country as of today than policemen and soldiers. Because these are people that you are sure will die on a daily basis. Unlike civil servants who are burning fuel and enjoying AC in state department, sleeping and eating bole. The police is out there under the sun, they are out there under the rain, and often taking risk. Unfortunately, they do not even have insurance. So you are calling a man to come and call a kidnapper and fight unknown gunmen, and he coming with just himself, no security if he loses his hand or limb. So irrespective of these sacrifices, the Nigerian people don't just look at the sacrifice, they look at the attitude of a few policemen who create a lot of problems for us. So compromise with the police is a fact. Okay? And that is why you see sometimes we initiate a very popular case, you know, everybody is shouting, eventually we go to court and you hear that the person won, that that popular figure actually won the case. You'll be asking what happened. What happened was nothing but that a compromise among state officials along the road. Poor investigation, lack of proper documentation, poor procedure, and all manner of illegality are products of pecuniary gains that ended up in that disastrous result.
Quite unfortunate there. Let's quickly move on to Oyo State. Government have taxed a local government chairman and traditional institutions across the state to fish out illegal miners, bandits, and land grabbers in their domains. The State Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Matters, Olusegun Olayiwola, on Monday said, after a closed-up meeting with local government chairman in the state, Oyo State government said Oyo State government has zero tolerance for crime and criminality and will stop at nothing to ensure the safety of lives and property in the state and urged the local government chairman and traditional rulers to work together to ensure that their territories are protected. Olayola said one major point that was extensively discussed yesterday, is the issue of the security of lives and property in Oyo State. You recall, he said that about 3 weeks ago, there was an explosion at Bodija, Ibadan, which eventually turned out to be a result of illegal activities of some miners who were not supposed to keep explosives in residential areas. As a result of this, chairmen and women in the 33 local government areas of Oyo State were invited to the office of the Honorable Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Matters yesterday, being Monday. And at the end of the meeting, they decided to address the press about the outcome of the meeting. The chairmen and chairwomen in 33 local governments of Oyo State have decided that the 3 critical areas that the people and the government of Oyo State need to look into to improve security are illegal mining and land grabbing and banditry. Quickly, this particular conversation that is pushing the responsibility of safety at the grassroots to the traditionals too and the local government area chairman. It also brings to bear that last week the Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde was also calling for the state police to become a major part of the conversation to ensure that they can handle things directly without having to run to Abuja or wait for calls and all of that. I'd like to have your reaction on this.
In as much as some of us are proponents of state police, but I dare add that our current police system is not functioning or responding adequately because there is no state police. Our political and administrative systems in this country is very chaotic and dysfunctional. Now, look at it this way. That mine, how did somebody open the soil of Nigeria to extract the mineral resources without the approval of the federal government? I've been pursuing a mining license for somebody. In fact, it was over 5 years before we got it. So how did the other person go to mine when I was looking for mining license? Number one, how did he enter Nigeria? The explosives he brought, how did he bring the explosives into Nigeria? Because when you bring explosives, you must tell us exactly what you are doing with the explosives and where you are taking those explosives to. And there must be government agents who must be monitoring your use of explosives. Because you can use it and commit a crime and blow up the people. By the way, did our laws not, it has been outlawed the use of explosives
IEDs and all that
for mining, particularly in vicinities within residential areas.
Yeah.
So there was a complete and total disregard to the law. It is a state of lawlessness. And but now you are telling that traditional rulers and local governments should go after bandits, go after illegal miners, and go after all this. How will you want a traditional ruler to do that? I want to know. How will he do it? How will the local government chairman do it? Is it to point at a bandit and say, see bandit, or see bandit, you enter his car, or to do what? The state government should live up to their responsibilities. And what is the responsibility? That there must be a synergy among security agencies. Some of us have criticized the idea of the police having a different plan, DSS having a different plan, Army having a different plan, Civil Defense. There should be a joint meeting and a joint policy and program of security by all the security agencies in a state. And that the security agencies must, as a matter of fact, point out to the governor, if you assume office, the security challenges in the state, and you must move to address it. The issue of illegal mining is completely outlawed. So the issue is to sack everybody doing mining that is not authorized by the government of the federation. All those mines must be closed. All those involved in the mining must be arrested. All the money they made from the mine must be put in government coffers. All the assets must be confiscated completely. And those involved in it must go to serve the punishment of the law. And therefore, we empower the police, encourage the police now to continue to carry out their constitutional responsibilities. Now, when commissioners or state officials make beautiful statements in English language, to the press, and the press writes, and everybody is given a package, and it ends, everybody goes home. What have you done? How many miners have been arrested? How many mines have been closed? How many of them is standing trial? Most of the bandits hide their weapons in the mines, because some of the mines are within and outside residential areas. Some of the bandits, so-called bandits, provide security for the mines.
I have a quick, because of time. You see, I'm listening to you elucidate on this issue. it just brings me to, again, to one nagging question I've had in my head about all of this. When you say traditional schools and local government chairmen should take charge of their territories to keep it safe from illegal miners and land grabbers, isn't it embarrassing?
Quite embarrassing.
That a governor in the class of Seyi Makinde,
a young man,
not just that he's young, this is a man that has a level of a technocrat experience, a class, and what have you, quite intelligent, sits in man estates like Oyo State, and people, you want us to believe that these people came into Oyo State. Mining is not something you do quietly. Yeah. It comes with a lot of noise. Mining, the explosive,
particularly the one you use with explosives.
Exactly. There are equipment you use to access the earth's surface to get this gold and all of that. How are you? There are trucks that go into these places, and these are not just things you do secretly, you know, and that people wouldn't know what.
And the money they make, they lodge in our banks.
Thank you. You have to, according to him, he checked their CAC accounts, and you discovered that some of them are foreigners. How did they get access into this country? Is this what you expected a Seyi Makinde-led government to be doing when it comes to this? Why do we have a way of ridiculing ourselves so much before the world?
Making nonsense of our president.
Yeah, what exactly is he talking about?
If I were him by now, I'll close every mining in Oyo State, both legal and illegal mining.
Are you not shocked that people, nobody has been arrested and shamed? Bringing them to these are the people, these foreigners, how many heads do they have? What they are doing in Oyo State? Can Seyi Makinde, even as a governor, try that in their respective states in the countries where they are coming from?
The truth of the matter, as I said before, the state institutions are weak. The miners compromise, the traditional rulers compromise.
How weak is the governor of a state to say that you came into my state to operate illegally? That is a crime on its own. But, and you're speaking English and local government.
But there's no limit to compromise now. There's absolutely no limit to compromise. Individuals who fish off Nigerian waters, foreigners who come to the Nigerian territory to fish, who told you that they just come and fish, that there are no people to which they pay homage to?
What about those who take months to load up ships of Nigeria's crude
they don't do it alone.
And pass it through the waters,
territorial waters
of Nigeria, and into another country? Somebody receives this crude and all of that. Yeah. I think there is more than we want to admit that seems to be going on in this country.
Exactly. And we stop illegal mining completely, insecurity cannot go, because most of what you call banditry is the struggle for territory among illegal miners, and the arms is what they use to protect their mines, even against.
Speaking of which, you remember the documentary that the Trust TV, BBC did with the bandits in Zamfara State, when there's something they called them that made the NBC come at them to shut them down, sanctions and all of that. If you listen to that documentary and hear what the lead bandit was talking about, what they do and the gold mining, the bottom line is that this is about the gold in Zamfara State. That is what has brought Zamfara State to Italy. And who is pretending that these things are not in existence?
And again, let me tell you, for somebody to mine oil in the soil of the Niger Delta,
for instance,
the person will go through all manner of processes and procedures. Then some other person in another part of the country, by mere wish, will point at his face as a traditional ruler. Or
how are they trying to make us believe that people can just walk into communities and do these things?
But now you extract oil here, all the laws must apply for you to take oil from the soil of the Delta. All the laws must apply for community people to benefit from whatever is being done. All the laws must be applied in checking the issue of oil production, oil exploration, exploitation, generation and distribution of all the laws. But in another part of the country, the same mining, an individual merely points with his fingers to his place of earth, and another person starts mining. He doesn't give anything to local government officially, state government, federal government. It is just between the individual and some other person. And the person who is doing that is benefiting hugely for the millions of dollars from the oil being mined in the soil of the Niger Delta, where people's communities and their source of livelihood are being laid to waste. But in the same mining, in the same country, just a few kilometers away, people are using their hand to extract their own resources.
And when you talk about the Niger Delta oil mining, the Flumbe exploration, that you're just talking about the legal one. What about the illegal ones that go on in the waters of the Niger Delta, the illegal crude shipments and all of that that goes on? Who are we going to ask questions about that? And when issues are raised, you have the Navy burn vessels, and then we're asking, Falana was asking the other time, why are you burning? These are evidence of crime being committed. Until today, that has been swept under the rug. Anyway, let's get to the FCT.
All right.
The Federal Capital Territory Minister, Yesu Wike, announces that the FCT Civil Service Commission will commence operation soon. The minister spoke on Monday during the inauguration of a 5-kilometer dual carriageway in Kuje area council of the FCT. The minister said the development would be the first in the history of the territory in line with the provision of the FCT Civil Service Commission Law 2018. Now, you recall that in October 2023, the minister had announced that President Bola Tinubu had given approval for the establishment of the FCT Civil Service Commission. So, speaking of the latest news on the FCT Civil Service Commission, Wike said very soon this FCT Civil Service Commission will be announced. This has never happened before. Mr. President means well for FCT. That is why you must continue to defend the mandate of Jagaban, that's Tinubu, because he means well for the entire country. The minister said that the move was in line with the renewed hope agenda of President Tinubu by giving hope to the people where all hope was lost. He said the renewed hope agenda is not just on paper. The renewed hope agenda is practical because you can see it, you can feel it, and you can touch it. He said, I know that, yes, things may not be as fast as we expect it, but what is important is that Nigerians are beginning to rekindle their hope that things will change. It will take some time, but it is important that they have hope that things will change, and it has started changing from the rural areas. Well, the minister says so far they are doing well. Let's not go into all of that. That's about a civil service commission for the FCT, according to the minister. Abuja is not supposed to be a state. Abuja is supposed to have, is a capital territory with its basic functions. Is this beginning to look like it's really Abuja is going to be a state on its own, even with the Federal Capital Territory situated in this state?
Well, Abuja is not a federating unit. What we have is 36 federating units.
Legally speaking. Legally speaking,
that's well. But however, Abuja by character is constituted in such a way that it has some of the benefits that states do have. For instance, Abuja, instead of a governor, has a minister that is administer the territory, because the territory is supposed to be the homeland, a sort of a homeland for all Nigerians, and whoever is found within the FCT is as secured as the indigenous people of the FCT by virtue of the laws. Then they should have their own budget, and they will have their own local government and all that. So that is it. But and again, there is nothing wrong, because if we put the civil service, if there is already a law for there to be FCT Civil Service Commission, then the law should be implemented. The law must have been made by the National Assembly that has the prerogative to legislate for the FCT. Now, I'm surprised that law is not invoked yet. Because
and
if
it was
since
2018.
Yes, the law should have come on board, you know. The law should be on board now, so that...
So, but do you think this will help to address some of the challenges or sense of limitation that the natives of the FCT have expressed over time?
But the natives of this thing has nothing to do with the natives of the FCT. I think the designers and the people who built Abuja were not fair to the natives of FCT.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Can this go do anything?
No, it cannot.
Can
This
it
is,
give any sense
no, this is cosmetic and elementary. What I was saying is that an FCT would have been designed in such a way that the indigenous communities would be retained in the ancestral territories with a space for expansion, while the cities are built around them.
Yeah.
But they practically obliterated them. And once you uproot a community, it goes into extinction.
Yeah.
So that, and I was not comfortable with that. I'm comfortable to come and see a Kuje. You see the people of Kuje, ancestral people of Kuje, room will be given for them. Then why we build our city right them? Do you understand me?
Yeah.
And why they now grow as a native people at their own pace. So some of those communities were obliterated, some of them were reduced to nothing, and that is why we are having challenge. In fact, the people of FCT today don't even pose any challenge because we don't know where they are again.
Quite sad. So, a chieftain of the All Progressive Congress, Mr. Benga Olawepo Hashim, have asked President Bola Tinubu and the National Assembly to implement the APC's policy of decentralization of policing to check the rising wave on insecurity, bloodletting, and kidnapping in the country. Paul Hashim, in a statement, said, "I really do not understand the hesitation on the part of the president and the party leadership to lead the charge. Many state governments and local government councils are being controlled by APC. The party also controls the National Assembly and the majority of state houses of assembly. So it means the party can obtain the legislative consensus within 1 week to bring to birth state policing. For some time now, there has been a clamor for establishment of the state police force as opposed to what was laid down in Section 214 of the Nigerian 1999 Constitution. This is a result of the deteriorating situation of the security system in Nigeria. Olawepo Hashim argued that while the immediate creation of local police would not stop all the problems of insecurity in Nigeria, it would solve about 50% of it, noting, "We cannot let the bloodletting continue and carry on as if we are confused on what is to be done to stop it." You'll recall that civil society groups under the aegis of the Civil Society Joint Action Group said last week that 2,423 persons had been killed, while 1,872 others had been abducted in the 8 months of President Tinubu's administration. They further said insecurity had persisted over the last 3 administrations, with 24,816 Nigerians killed and 15,597 persons abducted in the last administration of President Buhari between 2019 and 2023. He decried the developments. No. Now, so there is APC policy on decentralizing the policing. Everybody seems to have idea, like you just said, that the problem is not really with the police as it is, but the formation and the issue, providing the proper welfare. We're talking about, do they even have insurance? Because we know when they die in the process, stipends are given to their families, and that's it.
For those who receive the stipends.
Okay, good. Now, so we are asking, honestly speaking, this idea of everybody having opinion on what should be about security. Arawa Economic Forum came out over the weekend to say we want a regional police. Everybody seems to have an idea of what should be, but nobody seems to understand that we need to consolidate on what is in order to bet new ones when we're sure that we've done better with what we have. What exactly do you think this is going to achieve with insecurity?
There was a time the River State government under Amechi brought some people and they mounted either cameras and out the entrance and exits of River State. One day I was in a vehicle with a young man coming into River State, and before even we got to the junction, before we got close to that place, it was already dictated far away he was having a pistol in his bag. They didn't waste time. The police just brought out the person.
That's the C for you guys. Yes. Trained in Israel.
Yes, the policeman just brought the guy and told us to continue our journey. So what is difficult? Why can't we use technology? Why can't we retrain our police? For instance, is it difficult for every DPO to have an ICT or a technology that enables him to view his territory? I think there was a time we had a satellite, which they say got missing in the sky.
Have we found it?
Can we go and look and find it wherever it is and get our satellite?
Can we get a new one?
Or can we get a new one to monitor us? The issue is the issue of, in the 21st century, you don't do policing with gun and machete and baton. You do policing with technology. It will help us a lot. Can't a governor stay in his office and by mere touching buttons view a particular local government?
Why not?
In his state? So what is holding us from getting technology? That one that Amechi brought into River State, what exactly happened to it? Why was it not continued? So that if you are carrying somebody out of River State in the boot of your car, somebody somewhere will identify that car. At least that by the time you go to the police will tell you, yes, we are aware that so and so person was taken out of the soil of River State through so and so route. Why are we exposing the life of policemen and security agents? Why are we killing innocent people? If we have drones that can mistakenly misfire on their targets, drones, because drones are manned, and that drone being manned mistakenly hits a civilian target. Why can't we have drones that move around in specific territories, and somebody is somewhere analyzing what the drones gate? If somebody is said, if they say they kidnapped somebody and they took him to the forest of Ichi or the forest of Ogoni, why can't we have a drone that will scan those forests, and from there we'll know exactly what is happening? Why can't we have all that? You see, the truth is that we are lying to ourselves. And I keep on saying that Nigeria is structured that everybody is a beneficiary of corruption at one level or the other. Corruption is the centerpiece of Nigerian political economy. Very simple. The political economy of corruption. We have discussed it. We have analyzed it. We are benefiting. Everybody is benefiting. It's either you benefit by not paying your taxes, or by not renewing your car licenses, or by patronizing the police to intimidate your enemy, or by committing the crime itself of kidnapping,
or watching someone commit the crime,
or watching somebody commit the crime, or benefiting from the proceeds of the crime. So every one of us at one level or the other has something he's getting that is giving him a semblance of some form of comfort or a psychology of I still there now. Do you understand me? If we really want to tax ourselves and strip ourselves naked to see each other for who we really is, technology is available to us. Do we still be complaining that no government killed policemen there? We are investigating. What are you investigating? The man is a human. He's running on the surface of the earth.
So now, when you have a political party spokesperson or stakeholder, if you may, coming out to say, we have a policy of decentralizing policing in Nigeria and that this should be implemented, why is the political party that is APC now not thinking of how to improve the existing policing in Nigeria? Why are they not talking about, like you said, deployment of technology, like thinking of the non-kinetic approach, for instance, on the existing? Why can't, as a political party, the APC, good thing they are the ruling party anyway, say, this is the direction we want to go on this. Can we begin to have conversation? Why is that not an issue? Why are they looking at it as APC? APC is not a government on its own. It's a political party, by the way. Why are we even talking about this as a thing and not how to see that you can even try to introduce the policy to the Nigerian police force and have the system drive it? Why is it about the political party saying they want to decentralize policing by their own policy?
Well, you see, ordinarily, in the First and Second Republic, let me take the Second Republic. If you move from an MPN state to MPP state, Nigerian People's Party and National Party of Nigeria, okay, NPN and MPP, you will see you will know you have changed territory by the policies and programs of the government.
Okay.
Each party has, for instance, the Awo party, right from the First Republic, have always have a democratic socialist content.
Okay.
That informed the free education policy and the rest. So each party were struggling within the manifesto of the parties. As I speak to you now, it is difficult for any Nigerian to tell me the manifesto of APC, manifesto of PDP, or manifesto of SDP, or any of those parties. But parties are distinguished not by their flags, but by their manifesto. And their leaders speak the language of their manifesto.
No. That guides them.
That is the guiding principle. That is the Bible of the party, is the manifesto. And any person who deviates from the manifesto has run contrary to the party and must be punished.
So what changed between that dispensation and the Fourth Republic?
What changed is that corruption had
deepened. In terms of political party?
The corruption had deepened so much. People now act without restraint, and because of this, we have gotten a lot more confused. Now, if the APC government have a policy of decentralizing and want to operate a police policy, a policing policy, what is the PDP position, their governors doing about their own policing policy? Just as I'm talking about...
Can we even differentiate between both?
You cannot. So, that is why we're having insecurity in Enugu, we're having insecurity in Nasarawa, we're having those parties that are not members of, that are not APC parties. What is your policy on, how are you doing it better as to teach Nigerians that we have the capacity, next time choose us against them? There are no such things. And by the way, yes, decentralize the police network. But the Nigerian ruling class, as I told you, are bonded together. They are one family. The reason why the Nigerian political class is unwilling to admit to state police is because they know what they will use it and do to each other. It will become the private army of the governor. They are afraid of what they will do to themselves. So preserve themselves, they left it. The second reason that they are all involved in crime at one level or the other. There is hardly any violent crime that takes place. Most of the violent crime, the Nigerian ruling class is involved one way or the other. Either they are involved by virtue of negligence, or they are involved by virtue of sending thugs to go and disrupt a rally, thereby somebody will be killed, and then twist the police and frustrate the process of investigation and force you to put the file KIV. keep in view, or one way or the other. So the Nigerian ruling class, by the combined fact of the fear of what they will do to each other with a private army established for them, and okay, look at some of them that started vigilante. They practically used the vigilante during the election to drive away opponents from their states.
Yeah.
You see what they did with vigilante. Now, if you get a commissioner of police, they will appoint. You see what they will do to themselves. But that does not undermine in its totality the advantages of
decentralizing policing.
Decentralizing policing, if we are serious.
All right.
It does not undermine, because, for instance, now, University of Port Harcourt should have a police. USC should have a police. Ajuru should have a police, if we are serious. The King's Palace can have a police. In the north, we have the Emir's police. So we can always have police at different levels. Do you understand me? Legally employed to do specific things. The University of Port Harcourt police could just be working for the University of Port Harcourt. And they have the power to arrest you and work in collaboration with state police to prosecute you. Or even have the power to arrest you, go to court through a private prosecutor, prosecute you, or even prosecute you themselves.
All right. We'll keep having this conversation. Let's wrap up with this one quickly. The federal government dismisses reports making the rounds that the reason behind pharmaceutical companies' exit from Nigeria is as a result of difficulty in doing business, stating emphatically that it was due to the non-domestication of their products in the country. The Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Tunji Alausa, at the World Cancer Day 2024 symposium with the theme Economy, Tax and Cancer Control, the exit of pharmaceuticals from Nigeria, held in Abuja on Monday, said, "We have to change this narrative of companies leaving our country because of difficulty of doing business. That's not correct. Let's face the facts. Nigeria is endowed with abundance of manpower. If you go to any advanced democratic nation, the biggest chunk of any operating cost to run a business is personnel. We have it in abundance in Nigeria at a very reasonable and cheap rate. These pharmaceutical companies are left because we have pharmaceutical laws. There is a NAFDAC policy of 5+5. After you have marketed drugs for 5 years, they are expected to domesticate their production. They didn't domesticate their production, so they continue to market for decades. Now, we are reviewing our pharmaceutical laws to ensure we are not in this bad situation again. As companies are leaving, the country is ripe for investment. Other companies will come. We have abundance of opportunities here to manufacture. We have a population of 220 million. That's a big consuming population. There's new interest in coming back to the country. We have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that is quickly working out the ease of doing business in the country. Our country is going to become the destination of investors in the nearest future. The policies are being put together, take note. So we are a few companies. So when a few companies exist, we shouldn't be worried. We are working to encourage more companies to come in the country. And we are also domesticating and enhancing our pharmaceutical companies to fill those gaps. Said what really motivated us to host this World Cancer Day symposium targeting this issue about exit of pharmaceutical companies from Nigeria is because of what we have seen in the high cost of oncology medications. Many patients are now suffering because of these medications. This is a very crucial issue. It is now left to all of us, including private sectors, governments, and all stakeholders, for us all to begin to ask ourselves what we can do to decentralize cancer control and not leave everything to federal government. State governments also have a role to play in support to these issues. All right, here is the interesting conversation in paper. But when you say companies are exiting because they refuse to domesticate their products, the big question then is, they were supposed to be here for 5 years and all of that. How do you begin to talk of domesticating their products in a country where you don't have regular power supply? How do you begin to talk about domesticating their product if it's cheaper for them to produce and do their thing out there, bring it in and make better money to continue to stay in the country? If you have not fixed the issues that led to the poor ease of doing business in the first place, how are you talking about domesticating of their product being the reason? If your country is fixed, wouldn't it be the easiest thing for them to quickly domesticate their product, looking at the manpower population you talked about as an advantage?
In fact, you can comfortably say that every Nigerian president from 1999 to 2023, apart from Tinubu now, when we are still assessing, spent more time in the air than on land, running around the whole world, asking investors to come into Nigeria. At each point in time, the crisis, the political crisis, the political economic crisis in Nigeria got deepened. And it is evidenced by the exchange of the naira to the dollar. Check it from 1999, it has continuously plummeted. Now, if you are saying, so does he realize that there are a lot of Nigerians entrepreneurs who have their companies outside the shores of Nigeria? That if you go to China, go to US, go to Canada, Nigerians who are involved in productive ventures, who produce their goods outside, even Nigerians who have companies in Ghana, and they choose to produce outside and ship it, and Nigeria is the destination of their goods.
Because it's cheaper for them.
Because it's cheaper for them. Now this man that is saying this, now what is the, if I for instance, if I open a poultry farm and I want to buy land, and I buy land from a man to do my poultry farm, I'll settle his community, I'll settle his ancestors, I'll settle the youths, I'll settle bandits. Then I'll start doing the poultry farm. Then I'll employ workers, they'll steal the chicken, I'll go to the police. They'll collect bail money from him, collect from me and tell us to go and settle. The man steals more chicken and runs away. And I ask the police, they say they don't know where he is. I should be looking out for him. Anytime I see him, I should come and tell him.
That's on the basics.
That is on the basis. That is where you want the man to do business. Then the man you are telling to domesticate, how does you want him to domesticate the place when the gun of bandits are always sounding in his ear? When the roads are not fixed, when water is not running, when electricity, you're losing more megawatt than adding more megawatt.
But he's being taxed at every turn.
And he's being taxed at every time to carry a truckload of goods from the north to the south. If they tell you how much to use and fuel the vehicle, but much more than that, how much the drivers are giving to pay to police, in fact, not pay to all security agencies, and pay to individuals. Moving from here to Enugu, you meet over 400 to 500 units of youth carrying logs of wood, pursuing trailer drivers at every corner, just to move goods from northern Nigeria to southern Nigeria. Look at what the man is suffering. Now the cost is pushed to the Nigerian. So the man's, we have gone past the era and time where government agencies come with flowery languages, speak fine English to the public, and we go home. Look, can government agents, can people working for government change their language? This is not a time for fine language under a fine clothes, you know, with a fine suit, smelling fine. This is a time they should go to work and bring out initiatives to fix the country.
Right.
If once the country is fixed, Nigeria, people were coming to Nigeria before rushing to invest. Did we invite them? Were they not the ones who came on their own? Why is it that the people are leaving and we are begging people to come? Do you invest money to come and multiply itself? Capital is continuously on the process of self-augmentation. It doesn't stop. Anytime the augmentation process of a capital stops, capital is decimated. And if for capital to be decimated in a world of capitalism means to decimate civilization. And that is not possible.
All right. Thank you, Barrister Arochukwu Bonapo. It's been an honor host. It's always refreshing and an honor to host you on Blowout. Thank you. I cannot wait to have you back here soon. Once again, thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone. And that's been our show. Enjoy the rest of your day.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara.